Slaanesh. Interesting faction. I've heard a lot of people that have been playing the 4 demon factions have liked Slaanesh the most. They can have some pretty fun combination of getting the weird, like, seduction on other units, so it's kind of fun to see what combinations they come up with. Like, I seduced a rogue idol, and then you're like, literally how? How did that even work? So it's pretty fun to make these weird armies that shouldn't exist. Nakari's a fun lord. The roster in general is pretty fun for campaign. You're just going to be sprinting over your enemies or dying rather quickly. Like most demons, it's not about empire building as much as it is about destroying other people and taking their bodies and seducing them and all these things. It's kind of a fucked up campaign, but it's a good time. Slaanesh is the beastmen of demons. They're very fast, very, very fast, low armor, high armor piercing in a lot of their units. And the game's going to be won or lost in about 3 minutes. You'll either know you're going to win or you'll know you're going to lose. Their lord choices aren't great. Any of their large single entities can get mucked down. Their low armor values thematically are good, but just really hurt them in reality. And their low mass means if they get caught up in any monstrous infantry or cavalry, they have a hard time getting away, and they're extremely susceptible to ranged fire. Now, their smaller models are doing much better. Azazel, Sigvald, and the Heralds of Slaanesh are the 3 main ones you see in the meta. They're much less snipeable, still pretty mobile, and can support things. If you take Sigvald, you're going to need an additional caster on the side. The Lord of Slaanesh and Shadows are there too. They have access to. Both are pretty good. Slaanesh supports a rush, and Shadows punishes blobs, is the short version of that. Their infantry recently took some nerfs, so they aren't as nearly cost-effective as they used to be. They're still fine. Slaanesh's low-tier infantry is some of the better low-tier infantry in the game, though now the cheapest does cost 500, which is a slap in the pocketbook. Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh, most of their variants are pretty bad. A lot of the Hell Scourges are just terrible. They have high melee defense, but low to no armor piercing at all, which makes them have trouble getting through any front line that isn't made of Skaven slaves. Demonets are a good rush unit. They have incredible armor piercing, magic damage, and even debuffs and or rampages on the Bringers of Beguilement. So Slaanesh infantry is overall fine. It'll carry you in a rush game. It won't carry you... I mean, I guess rush is the only style, so yeah, it'll do good. Their Missile Cav, they are the only Chaos variant without throwing axes, I think. Well, maybe Tzeentch 2. Yeah, maybe Tzeentch 2. Magic damage ammo is actually pretty nice against other demon factions. Skirmish Cav is incredibly fast, 95 speed, and has pretty good charge stats. They're good. They're good units. Hellstriders of Slaanesh with Hell Scourges are great. Seekers of Slaanesh have excellent armor piercing. These are the main carry horses of the Slaanesh roster. Extremely fast, great chargers, can take out a lot of things in the mobile game. You also have Heartseekers of Slaanesh and some Chaos Knights if you need a little more beef to your extended roster, but the Chaos Chariots of Slaanesh are theoretically good. In practice, they have been struggling a lot, but maybe buffs will make them better. So, in theory, Slaanesh has great Chariots and Cav. Currently, they just have great Cav. Great Cav, though. Excellent stuff there. For Monsters and Beasts, they are lacking a little bit. Soul Grinders are good single-entity duelists. Spawn are fine. They're Monsters Infantry. They do Monsters Infantry things. And the Chaos Furies of Slaanesh are okay. They have armor-piercing weapons, which is good, but they're 600 gold, and they're going to die after they dive in or whatever, so you better make it worth it. If you're playing as Slaanesh, you want a good mix of cheap infantry and then probably some of the Demonet units for armor piercing. If you take Chaos Warriors, they're just not going to punch through the front line fast enough, in my opinion, so you're bringing tanky units to hold for what? There's no archers that are going to support them, so they're just going to slowly die rather than quickly get through the front line. So I would recommend Demonets over Chaos Warriors, though the Mirror Guard are a special breed because they're just really good. They have really high stats, but that's not a Chaos Warrior in general, it's just a ROR. So Demonets are better in your rush. And you are rushing. There's really no other way to play Slaanesh. You're going to want a bunch of Hellstriders, maybe some Seekers if the opponent cavalry has armor-piercing values. Has armor for you to pierce. If it's light cav, you might want to go with Chaos Knights of Slaanesh because their 120 armor will keep them safe, while Seekers are going to take as much damage from a Questing Knight as a Knight Errant. So, they're kind of a, we will do this no matter how expensive the cav is, versus these guys will take like no damage from Empire Knights, but will have a tough time versus Questing Knights. So, know who you're fighting, know what cav you should be bringing, but you should be bringing cav because you need to dominate the mobile game. You need to really pressure your opponent and force them back. Also, Skirmish Cav are a must. Your Air Force is incredibly terrible. You could take one Lord that can fly, and you have some Furies. That's it. So you're going to need ranged stuff to stop you from getting air cheesed. And your only ranged unit is the Marauder Horsemen of Slaanesh. So at least take 2 in every army. I'd probably say just take 4. If you're fighting against Slaanesh, don't bring a leadership-reliant faction, because you are not going to have any of it. Slaanesh is terrible at sniping out your Lord. So don't worry too much about Lord sniping, though you do have to worry about your Lord routing. We want a high leadership Lord, preferably infantry-sized, because you're not going to outrun Slaanesh. They will find you and they will kill you. If you're taking cavalry, that cavalry needs to have armor. If you take light cavalry of any kind versus Slaanesh, you are just killing yourself. Also, your front line needs to have high leadership, because Slaanesh gets a bunch of army buffs and lord buffs, and honestly some of their units get buffs too off of nearby units wavering in leadership or breaking. So if you have a front line made up of cheap chaff that's going to break very quickly, you're just powering up Slaanesh. So your front line needs to be high leadership and good at holding, preferably honestly unbreakable. Armor or not, it doesn't matter, because we did mention they have good armor piercing tools, so it's much more about your stats, good melee attack, good melee defense, and high leadership, than it is about your armor or weapon strength. Slaanesh in general is low armor, so Burning Head can clear them out pretty good. Any spell lore that punishes low armored factions is good here. As for Lord sniping, use monstrous infantry to kill the Lords if it's not Azazel or Sigvald. If it is Azazel or Sigvald, you're honestly probably just going to have to kill the entire army and then hope you have enough left in the tank to kill them, because Azazel's too fast to catch, and Sigvald is an infantry character with high melee defense, so he's just going to hold on forever. Yeah. Slaanesh just have to kill the entire army. Archers are decent here, but they're not as good as they are against Khorne or Nurgle, because you won't have a ton of time to shoot. It's much more important to have heavy cavalry and monstrous infantry to deal with Slaanesh. Hope that helped. See you out there.
Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.